Hello and welcome to the 3-Inning Fan Show with me, Kelley Franco. I am so excited about my two guests here today. We have Bob Heussler, who was the update anchor on The Fan for 30 years. And we have the Schmooze, Steve Summers, who we tuned into after every Mets game for decades on The Fan, and who has his own podcast that you should be listening to, Me Here and You There. That's the name of it. Bob and Steve, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, and I'm sure he's going to say the same.
Yes, I will.
So I have to say, I've been an attorney for 30 years, and a couple of years ago, I decided to start a baseball show, which is weird, and nobody knows why I did it. And I've been so lucky to have some amazing guests, Chris Russo, Mike Piazza, Howie Rose, and I've been thrilled to be with every one of them. But there is something about sitting here with you two guys today that is honestly downright hallucinatory.
People are going to think you're on drugs.
Yeah, I know. Can I pinch you?
Yeah.
It's him. It's really the Schmooze. So, Bob, you were at the Mets game last night. Tell us about the vibe.
It was, well, the vibe's been, believe it or not, good all season, despite the fact that it's been a roller coaster of a season. My last two games previous to last night in person was when they were nearly no hit by Gavin Williams.
Right, I remember that one.
Inning. Then the next game I was at in person was when they got annihilated by the Braves, 92-minute rain delay before that game. And then the Braves wiped them out, stayed to the end. I get home at 2 a.m, and I was questioning my existence. I'm saying, we've got to snap out of this. But getting back to the point about the vibes, from opening day, Citi Field has been just electric. Last night with McLean pitching, it was electric from the first pitch.
No kidding.
From the first pitch, because what he does is he goes right after guys. And we've been waiting for that all season long. That's the biggest problem that the team has had all year. The starting pitchers' inability to go deep into a game. Now you have a guy, he had like 49 pitches thrown, like through 5 innings, because he's attacking. Plus he has the great stuff. So it built and built and built, and then 6-0 game, 8th inning, he comes out, and you're thinking, can he actually throw a complete game shutout? And he gets in trouble. First and third, nobody out. And they come out, Hefner comes out, they talk to him. So now they leave him in, and the place is juice. Can we get out of this? Fly ball, I think then a ground out. You would have thought it was the 7th game of the World Series.
No kidding.
The place went nuts because, no, he didn't finish, but we knew he was finished. And it was an ovation, as I said, you would have thought it was a playoff game.
And for so long, as both of you know, the Mets, in losing those 16 out of 21, couldn't hit left-handers, number one, and couldn't hit with runners in scoring position. I think against Philadelphia, and this is not Washington, not Pittsburgh, like the Yankees were playing, and no surprise they're sweeping of the Nationals.
We have our first Yankees dig, only just a couple minutes into the show.
And there might be more. But the thing is, against Philadelphia, a really solid team, they were flat and impotent, and the Mets were hitting 3-4 hits in a row with men in scoring position, hitting against left-handers. In a long season, the Mets prove how good they can be when they need to be that good.
And the thing is, Steve, you're right with the offense against Philadelphia, but the offense has been doing this the entire month of August. They've actually gotten to the point where we had hoped to see it on a consistent basis all year. In the month of August, the Mets are number 1 in the majors in batting average. As a team in August, they're hitting like .328. And they're in like they're near the top in all the offensive categories for the month of August. So I get back to my point about the starting pitching. And so a rising tide lifts all boats. And there's no doubt that McLean, who's 3-0 in his first 3 starts and pitches deep into games and electrifies everything, is having an effect on the other guys. Now, they haven't all performed. I think something's wrong with Senga physically. And without getting into the particulars, I think now, if you can get that pitching to match what the offense is finally doing, with guys like Vientos is coming around, Beatty, the complementary guys, Marte, they're all hitting. Now you got something that could start to percolate in September.
And Vientos, 3 home runs in 3 consecutive at-bats.
Yeah.
So they're hitting.
Good stuff.
Are you excited to see Tong pitch on Friday night?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't wait. That's an event. I think back to when Dwight Gooden made his major league debut. It was a Saturday night, Saturday evening. He pitched against the Astros, and I planned my day around it because there's nothing more exciting than that young pitching prospect who makes his first start and then delivers. And Gooden obviously delivered that night and beyond. And we've had it, through the years. The Mets have been pitching rich, and
what about Sprout?
Sprout.
I actually love that everybody's calling him Sprout. That is the cutest thing in the world.
Yeah, we got to come up with a nickname for.
And very typical of me, by the way. I'm not going to get it right.
So are we going to see Sprout?
I think it's a good question because they've answered that question. We haven't seen him yet. So if we haven't seen him yet, there's a reason. There's a reason that Tong has superseded Sprout. Now, will we see Sprout? I think so. But the fact that when they didn't call him up to pitch on going back to Monday's game, we're talking on a Thursday.
Yeah, when they put in Senga.
Correct.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been a good spot for Sprout because Senga never pitches on regular. He needs that extra to fight, but he didn't. And
it showed.
Right.
They came back,
I
but
think
it
there's
showed.
something wrong with his legs. But anyway, that's the answer to your question about Sprout is, well, we haven't seen him yet. So there's something that, all right, whatever they evaluate him.
Bullpen, maybe?
No. When he gets,
would start.
Oh, yeah. I think we will see him. But the fact that we haven't yet, they're saying, look, they're probably saying, okay, this is what we need to see. Whatever it happens to be, physical, whatever. But you don't want to ever rush those. You put them in a spot where you think they can succeed. And the fact that Tong is pitching on Friday night, they have every confidence that he can and will succeed.
And they should stay healthy.
Well, do you think that they can? And what does the playoff rotation look like? I mean, Senga and Minaya have not been the same this year.
Yeah,
Senga
right.
hasn't been what he was a couple of years ago. Minaya not what he was last year.
Well, again, things change. Right now, there are doubts and concerns. Maybe by October, there won't be. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
If you believe in momentum, if the Mets in mid to late September can find their identity for October,
Right.
then I think we'll be
said.
okay.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So what about Soto?
Well, he hasn't, the walks, over 100 walks. So he's getting on base. He's had some hits, gets a lot of singles also, but he's got over 30 home runs. The batting average doesn't matter. It's hitting in the clutch. It's going to be a long time that he's going to be a Metropolitan. So he may next year hit 340. But the batting average, again, it's hitting in the clutch, more important, getting on base, keeping the line moving. Now, the Mets get 3-4 hits in a row. They were trailing with Philadelphia and 3-4 hits in a row, and the next thing you know, they have the lead. And Alonso hitting in the clutch. In a long season, ups and downs. A cliche, but true. So again, mid to late September, if the Mets can get all together and be healthy going into October, then they can worry about getting ready for Halloween after baseball.
When you talk about Soto, Kelly, is always going to be measured against the contract. Always. This is over $750 million, the highest, as we know, where that contract ranks in the history of professional contracts. he'll always be measured against that. So in the eyes of a lot of fans, he has not lived up to that almost figurative expectation. Well, actually, literally and figuratively when you're talking about the money. And the other thing is he doesn't emote. You know, he reminds me in a way of Carlos Beltran, where Beltran was so good and so talented.
And very quiet.
And he made it look easy, which of course it wasn't. But you read it, you find out, when you read about Beltran, you learn this guy was an incredibly hard worker. David Wright gives Beltran all the credit early in his career as being his role model for work ethic. You think, Carlos Beltran, but it's true. You know, David Wright talked about it when they retired his number, and he was going into the retrospectives. Soto, if you just look at his, forget it's Juan Soto, and just look at his numbers, just standalone, you're like, wow, this guy's having a great season. I mean, stealing bases.
Yeah, he's stealing bases.
He leads the league again in walks. He's always doing that. He's 30 home run plus. He's going to be 35, 40 wins. The numbers, his WAR, if you're into that, is tremendous. Everything is great except you hit it. He hasn't given you those big wow moments. The wow, the game-winning home run. I was watching the Phillies game the other night. I'm thinking, here's Harrison Bader of all people, who hits a 2-run homer to tie the game.
Like 9 for 14.
Yeah, but my point is Harrison Bader's coming up with the big hit, and Soto came up in that game with the chance. And he didn't homer in this one at bat. He struck out. I'm like, oh my God, what a contrast. Yet, when you hit it again, if they get to October, he'll be a part. He won't be the man. He'll just be an integral part of what is hopefully now a really functioning unit and just somebody who helps that unit move along. But if you measure him against his contract, it's a mistake, we do, and we will.
Yeah.
But
has yet to hit a 3-run home run, said Gary Cohen.
Unbelievable. But I love the guy. He's 26 years old. You look at some of the players right now who are, in their early, mid-30s and producing at a high level. A lot of them, like a Schwarber, a Yelich. This guy's 26 years old.
Yeah, let me ask both of you, because Soto does this, and especially Lindor. The chumminess, there's a runner at second base from the other team, and Lindor is having a party with him.
Did you see that last night?
Yeah, I sure did. And I'm old to begin with, and then old school. I'm not a fan of that. And Soto is a little bit of a showman, too, staring at the umpire if it's a called strike on the inside corner. See the ball and hit it, what? But I'm just saying, with Lindor, he's got to be my best friend is right here. Even though he's wearing a different uniform, even though he's at second base and scoring position, save it for dinner after the game maybe. But I'm old school. It bothers me a little bit. Yeah. But if that runner doesn't score from second base, it's a good thing. Yeah. But the chumminess, and at first base, they do the same thing. They're talking with each other. Alonso doesn't do that very much.
A little bit.
A little bit, but not like Lindor and Soto.
They have the same agent, probably.
So you've been watching the game for a lot of years, Steve, and when you see that kind of interaction, and I think last night Bader threw out Lindor at second, maybe that was it, and then there was a little bit of smiley back and forth, like, oh, my old teammate threw me out.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah, he pointed at him, too. Yeah. And Bader was smiling in center field. Yeah, Harrison, when he was a Yankee, he used to wear his mouthpiece. It reminded me of Hannibal Lecter, that he was going to eat the competition. I'm serious. He used to like almost like Stephen Curry, would chew on that mouthpiece. I wanted to rip it out and throw it away. And Bader was always mouthing that mouthpiece. Hannibal Lecter was out there.
There's no way you saw this coming, Kelley.
We were unprepared for Hannibal Lecter.
See, I can talk and talk and talk, say nothing, and make a living out of it.
Well, so Steve, you're actually a San Francisco young man, I
Yes.
understand. So why?
I saw O.J. Simpson in high school. First job I ever had at a top 40 radio station doing high school sports. And I was like 17, 18 and a half. And I saw O.J. Simpson in high school play football, make Old City both offense and defense, defensive end and running back. Saw Dan Fouts in high school and Mike Holmgren in high school and Johnny Miller, the golfer. And I don't say golf the right way. It's G-O-F-F to me. And although millions of people play it for a number of reasons, to me, golf spoils a nice 7,000-yard walk.
So how is
And
it?
they call it fescue. What
she
is
asked you about
fescue?
she asked
grass.
She asked you about San
Fescue.
Francisco.
What kind of
How do we
talking-
get to golf from
We
San
got to
Francisco?
fescue.
Well, because I saw Johnny Miller
Right.
in high school. Well, that's what made me think of the golf. And again, fescue.
We're at fescue, folks.
Why can't they just say tall grass, weeds? That's how people talk.
How did you become a
Fescue.
Metropolitans fan?
Well, New York was always going to be, for me, everything about New York. And I didn't think the lovable Mets of '62 were lovable. I felt sorry for them, losing the way they did. And I was a Giants fan because
Okay.
I went to the very first game that the Giants had in San Francisco against the Dodgers.
Yes, right. And don't
19
tell me Dodgers won?
No, Giants
Giants
won
won?
8-0. Ruben, I can't remember what I had for dinner last night. It was either pizza or baby back ribs. He told me that you wanted to know about my food.
That's later.
Yeah. That's the epilogue. But anyway, it was in April of 1958. I was like 9, 10 years old. And my uncle, who was a dentist, pulled my teeth out with his hands. To this day, can't go to a dentist and feel comfortable because of that. I'm serious. The mental scars
You
of
should
that.
have worn the Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
Where's Bader when I need him? So, but the point being, he reminded me many years later that I said to him, "Why are the New York Giants opening their season here?" I couldn't comprehend that they had moved along with the Dodgers after the '57 season.
And broken a lot of hearts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, sure, and those broken hearts mended by the Mets. And a lot of the Brooklyn Dodger fans didn't become Yankee fans at all.
They couldn't.
No
They
way.
a lot of them
No.
became Red Sox fans
Oh,
or
sure.
Mets fans because they
And,
hated the Yankees.
Yeah, Connecticut and it's middle ground, right?
Yeah, it's split. You know,
Parts
you-
of Connecticut, Boston or Yankees.
I think most is Boston, I'd say. Bob, would you? I feel like Fairfield County's Yankee Mets.
Fairfield
Are you from
County.
Connecticut?
Yeah, right here, right where you're sitting.
Beautiful state.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I made it myself.
yeah.
I would say that's good. You're rubbing off on Kelley. The one line.
She's rubbing off on me.
No, when New Haven County, Fairfield County is definitely Yankees. New Haven County is where you start to get into a little bit of a mix. Southeastern Connecticut, New London, and that's Red Sox.
That is Red Sox, yeah.
It's an interesting split, but
Did you find the Mets in '62 lovable and laughable with Casey Stengel? See, I felt sorry that 120 losses.
So is that why you liked that? I mean, we haven't gotten to the root of your
Well,
Metropolitan
my father
fandom.
was a Yankee fan because in San Francisco, Joe
Your
DiMaggio.
father was a Yankee fan?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. He passed away in 2003 at the age of 91. When he was growing up, no Giants were there. It was the San Francisco Seals, a AAA team that
That the
featured
DiMaggios all played for,
and
yeah.
Lazzari and Grassetti, Lefty Gomez.
A lot of good Italians.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And so the bottom line is a lot of San Francisco baseball fans who watched the Seals were Yankee fans when some of those Seals came to New York, especially DiMaggio.
Yep.
So, again, when the Giants came out, not that many people cared. They cared more about the Dodgers moving to L.A., celebrities, Frank Sinatra and Tommy Lasorda. I loved it when Lasorda rolled over backwards. I hated the Dodgers growing up and still do.
Well, you have to tell the story about when you did the piece. Steve was an L.A. sportscaster.
Worked with Brian Gumbel at
Didn't know that.
KNBC.
So-
Okay.
Yeah, I was the weekend sportscaster. I did 17
But tell the
years
Lasorda
of
story.
TV.
Tell the.
Anyway, when I was in L.A., I did the Dodgers, was 79 or 80. At the All-Star break, they were in last place. So I said to Brian Gumbel, who I did pieces for him, sort of like pre-monologues with the writing, because the camera people, there were no cutaways. With the writing, they could put anything in. Anyway, so the Dodgers were struggling. And here I am working at an LA station, of course, and working with Gumbel. And I gave Gumbel the idea, Brian Gumbel. I wanted to do a story on the Dodgers being in last place. And I ran it through Brian Gumbel. He said, great idea. Okay, one of the few that I had. We went to a cemetery and buried the Dodgers. I got a rabbi, I got a priest, some people from the station. I had them dress in black. We went to a cemetery and had the cemetery fake digging a grave. and the piece actually came out okay, not the greatest, but Lasorda hated it. And the next game that I went out there to do some locker room interviews for Brian Gumbel during the week, Monday through Friday, Lasorda had me removed from the stadium.
Thrown out.
He had my pass
Credential
taken away.
revoked.
And of course, Gumbel got it back for me. Gumbel
God bless
ended up talking to Lasorda and saying, no, he came to me, I told him to go ahead and do it. And it was all in fun, it's shtick. It isn't like buried Ron Say or Bill Russell or Steve Garvey.
Maybe it's just that sometimes people don't see things as funny when you see them as
well,
funny.
right, and knowing I'm from San Francisco didn't help either.
That's right. Yeah.
So, I mean, great rivalry there that carried over from New York when it was the Dodgers and the Giants here in New York.
So you mentioned your monologues, and so people really should be listening to Steve's podcast, Me Here and You There, because he does a monologue, and
It's a struggle.
It was and is a thing of beauty. How do you
some
do
of them
those?
worked. And let me be as honest with you as I try to be with myself. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. But it wasn't so much the writing as most people, I loved your monologue the other night or whatever. And it was the delivery.
Yeah.
And and Bob knows from delivery. So if you are writing it, and of course with radio in the old days, when radio was more radio than it is now, because you can listen to a program on your phone and do your podcast on a phone. The bottom line is that with a monologue or radio the way it used to be, and then to some degree still is, of course, people only hear it once. If you are writing for a paper, a blog, a website, whatever it may be, you can reread something if you don't understand a paragraph. But the writing was very simple, off the top of the head, tip of the tongue. Some of the monologues took 20 minutes. Some took 3-4 hours to put together and to have a finishing line to a paragraph.
I can give you some background because I've seen this, and sometimes I'd see something that I thought could help him, so I would often visit.
Oh, he's helped me like you don't know.
Then in the middle of his monologues, or creating them, I go back to he had a little cubby hole when we were in Astoria, and then a little fancier office when we moved to Manhattan. But in both places, he's always trying to sneak a smoke while he's. How many times were you fined for
About 5-6 times.
Yeah, and those are $500 fines.
Yeah, one was $500.
Wow, that's hurtful.
Well, I was told like about the 5th time not to smoke within the building.
But that was setting, you just follow the trail of smoke. Okay, Steve's working on the monologue.
Or the coffee cups.
The coffee cup, the spilled coffee.
Yes, and mustard stains.
Yes. And he had these yellow legal pads. I think you still have every single
of
monologue
course.
you've ever written.
Well, yeah, just
Probably
about over 30
Behind,
years.
under sofas.
Everywhere.
Really?
My wife calls our apartment a dump because I have all my work from the monologues, and I call it lived in the apartment.
And you look at these legal pads you would write the monologues on, and there's coffee stains on it, or the paper's burned from where he dropped a cigarette ash. But anyway, the beauty of it, getting to what he was just talking about,
Delivery.
is sometimes, he would not see me, and I could hear him. He's writing. Actually, he's a lefty, but he's writing, and you see the lips moving. And so he's writing in his own voice. He's hearing it in his head. So when he would write it, and he wrote all, as he likes to say, his ad libs, everything you heard in those monologues on the air were from that yellow legal pad.
Oh, really? So it's all written down?
He would,
sometimes an ad lib on a line.
Yeah.
So I don't distract myself and continue on. But Bob's right on.
Yeah, and so you could see him.
Howie Rose used to say, Summers is upstairs writing his ad libs.
And that's exactly what you did. You were, but everything was in your voice and the rhythm. And I would compare him to, and this is really dating myself, but I can give you a reference to the person I'm about to bring up, Gene Shepard.
Seinfeld's favorite radio guy.
Is it? I didn't know.
Up.
Gene Shepard was in the same mold, but short stories, humorous. But the reference for you, if you know the movie Christmas Story?
Yes.
That's him.
Okay.
He wrote that. It was Bob Clark is the director. He adapted it into a screenplay, but Gene Shepard wrote the story, that Christmas Story, which is now a classic, is based on, and that's Gene Shepard's voice you hear in the movie Christmas Story, narrating the entire movie. That's him. He had a show on WOR, which was just
late at night.
Not late, not post midnight.
That was Seinfeld's big guy.
It was great radio, and there were others examples. But Gene Shepard immediately comes to mind when I think of you. You're in the same mold, and Gene Shepard was this. He wrote everything in it was simple, short story writing, but he had a great voice. Like you have a distinctive voice. He had a really good voice, as you hear in that movie. But you hear his rhythm. You hear, he's writing as he speaks. And that's what you did. And
well, you tried to make it conversational, and you do the same thing.
I do, but
and
I
you
have to
nothing
say,
that you're reading. Good for you. You're talented and gifted.
Well, I've been an attorney for a few years. I have to go into court and do my thing. Yeah. So, but thank you for that.
I hope you're not ever going to get deported.
Let's not go there.
Here we go again.
Uh-oh.
So, but the thing is about your monologues is that they're funny, but they're also very truthful. And if you listen, they're edgy and you don't hold back. And you're refined, you don't scream, and you don't have mock outrage, but you say what you're thinking.
And I thought maybe because a lot of other people on WFAN at the time were slamming people who argued, and they were loud. And I thought in the beginning I was too boring because I was more measured, because I welcomed a different opinion and learned from that. I always say, whether you're a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker, you can learn from somebody, anybody and everybody. And Bob, of course, we became friends there, and so much insight and knowledge and helpful adjusting to New York, really. I can't say enough about him.
We were night. We did. We had two things in common.
He did updates on the show and so forth.
Well, the thing is, we're both night people. When I started at the Fan in '93, you were like one of the
And
first
you
people
heard
I
my
met.
audition at WNBC
did.
Radio in
I
'86.
did. That's another little sidebar to his deal. I never forgot it. There was a show in New York on WNBC. This was back in the Howard Stern days.
Sure, yeah, I remember.
And it was hosted by, well, eventually it was hosted by
Jack Spector.
Well, Jack Spector tried. He had it for a short while.
And he passed away. He had a heart attack or something.
Yeah.
And then they went looking for a replacement.
Yeah, and Mike Breen
Was the producer. Not on the air, but he was the producer of the talk show on WNBC for years.
They had tryouts. They flew him in from San Francisco.
Well, from L.A.
At the time you were at L.A.?
Gumble
Okay.
set up, because he knew I wanted to be in New York. So he said, this is not TV.
Yeah.
But it's radio.
Well,
but it's New
wasn't
York.
it Dave Sims who got the job?
Dave Sims
Yeah.
got the job over me.
But
And then a year later at WFAN, when it was born, here Dave Sims and I were working in the same place.
But he tried out. Now, I listened to
And he
NBC
heard
all
it.
the time. And I was interested in, okay, who are they going to try out for this sports show, which is only like an hour long, if I remember right. And he cut through. For two reasons. Number one, you were pretty funny.
a lot of hockey talk.
The voice was unique, and that made me, like it perked up. I'm like, wow, this is different. But you were really, in a funny way, self-deprecating. He was making fun of himself, but in a way that made you laugh. So I was thinking.
Not high self-esteem.
But it was funny. You had there.
Yeah, I was trying to be serious.
And I was actually disappointed you didn't get the gig. Now, nothing against Dave Sims, it turned into a great show, but you cut through. And so I met him years later at the Fan and
Mike
told him
Breen,
that
the
story.
producer.
Mike Breen was the producer.
And whatever happened to him?
How'd it turn out for him?
So let me ask you a little bit about the power of radio, because I think personally that there's a little bit of magic in radio. And yes, we can listen to the games
It's
on our
immediate.
phones now.
It's now. Well, it still is, but it's in real time. It's happening now. It's immediate. It's personal. It can be confrontational. It can be all of the emotions, but it's happening now as you listen. The podcast that I do, we record. You too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and then it's posted and you go from there. But radio, even today, it's different, of course, but it's immediate and it's right now, in real time.
And there's a connection with radio, and it's personal.
Yeah, that's right.
And the talented radio hosts like you have that ability to make that, an audience of thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, make you feel like you're speaking to one person.
Well,
and
that's
you
right,
did
because
that
if you
very
think
well.
you're talking to New York, even a small portion, I mean, that can be very intimidating. And also, I think and I used to say this all the time on the radio, I'm no different really than I'm the son of a grocer. And know how to bag groceries. Because when I first helped my dad with his mom and pop grocery store, I put the eggs on the bottom of the bag and the cans on top, and had a lot of messy deliveries.
Great job.
You can't take me out in public. So, but I helped my dad, as did my brother as well. But the bottom line is, I would never have used fescue. I would, you talk
down to earth.
normal. What? I'm not from Harvard. I'm not. And the book that I have coming out, which is memoirs in November, the guy that I'm working with on the book is from Harvard. And when I would tell him some of the stories growing up and working, mostly it's with the Fan, but when he would use words, I said, that's not me talking. Please make some adjustments here. I wouldn't use them again.
Yeah.
Tell us what the title of the book is going to be. Is it Fescue?
It's Me Here, You There.
Me here and you there. Of course it is.
And here's the shameless plug. It comes out November 18, in time for the holidays. and it's available now to pre-order through Amazon.
Pre-order. How about that?
Yeah, no one's going to buy
I'm going to
it.
tell a quick story that'll embarrass you, but I think it speaks to Kelly's point and her question about how you can make a connection. That's later. Remember, that's the.
I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. I got ahead of myself.
He and I have been going to Shea Stadium originally. I take him to several games a year. I have the season ticket.
I know you guys always get on TV.
Yeah.
And free food.
Free?
Well, here's
get
the
a seat
thing
with
with
you
him
guys.
when he comes to a game with me. You think I'm with a rock star, but that's not my point.
Oh, no.
Here's my point.
No.
He wasn't on TV in New York. He was on radio. So if you as a listener want to know what he looks like, you have to make an attempt.
Well, you go to the website.
Well,
we have pictures of
but
all
people wanted to know. In other words, I'll give you an example. When I was listening to Top 40 radio in the 60s, I wanted to know what Cousin Brucey and Dan Ingram looked like.
Cousin Brucey?
I wanted to know. Herb Oscar Anderson, the whole thing. I wanted to know. Now, could I have picked them out in public after seeing a few little headshots on, the postcards I would get? Maybe, maybe not. But over time, people got to know what you look like, despite the fact you spent a career on the radio, and everybody recognized it.
But you go to YouTube.
Take the compliment, because he gets rock star treatment
Is that true, Steve?
via being
A couple of people come by to say hello. It's nice.
A couple of people.
a couple of people.
Yeah, no.
He's been opening day with me, and we get off the subway, and then we'll walk to the tailgate. We've had the tailgate for years. Got to go about 100 yards. I can't get him the 100 yards to the tailgate. Oh, it's the Schmooze, hey, Schmooze, yeah. Me here, you there.
Yeah, he's exaggerating a little bit.
And
I bet he isn't.
I am
Not that many.
Every 10, 20 feet, we stop. Steve, they're waiting for us. Steve, because he is also somebody who'll engage. You stop, Steve, he'll engage you. It won't be,
It's
hey.
flattering. It's fun.
Right.
Is that annoying to you, Bob? It sounds like if you want to go get a beer, it might be kind of annoying.
Well, the thing is, when somebody comes to the games with me now, where I have these season tickets, they come as my guest, except for one thing. You have to buy my beer.
So I get him the beer.
And he's good. But the problem is, all right, Steve, time for a beer.
It's the least I
It'd be
can
like
do.
2-3 innings later because he goes into to the concession. Hey, it's Steve Summers. Oh, Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, I love you. Oh, yeah. Oh,
It's not
really?
that
Oh, thank you.
bad. It's not that-
that I am exaggerating.
Yeah, yes.
And he's very good with the beer, by the way. He delivers.
I get it, and I don't drink. I used to when I was younger, but I don't drink anymore. But I do smoke, so that's my vice.
I think I need to swap out the gift in your gift bag. I'll be right back.
What do you have in there?
A bottle of wine, but I'll get you some.
Well, my wife will drink
Okay, good.
Oh, there you go.
So because we're on food, as you know, here at the 3 Inning Fan Show, we wrap up, and I could talk to you guys all day, but we do wrap up every show with talking about what's good to eat while watching the ball game. And so it can be while you're home on your couch or getting ready for a show or while you're in those season ticket seats. But Steve Summers, what do you like to eat while you're watching the ball game?
Well, that could be popcorn. It could be my two favorite foods are baby back ribs and pizza. And but I historically make, and there's not a vegetable you can think of that I don't put into a salad, with nuts and seeds and kale and bok choy and you name it.
This is the first
everything.
recorded mention of bok choy on my show.
But I eat an awful lot of vegetables and a lot
Fescue.
of salad. But my two favorite, when I want to cheat, with where I don't care about calories or cholesterol, it would be baby back ribs and pizza.
Bob Heussler?
All right. First of all, today, I give boring a bad name. I'm boring when it comes to food choices. You know what? I'm at the ball game, like last night. I am a hot dog and beer guy.
No, that's okay.
But-
That's traditional. I
But
like it.
The old Bob,
Oh boy, somebody brought a prop.
I came prepared because this guy, back in 1967, what I did was I printed out, and you're not going to believe this, I printed out the concession menu at Shea Stadium in 1967.
Wow.
Oh my God, where'd you get that?
I found it online, but get this. Look at what they had. Shrimp basket, chicken basket. Look at the prices. Meatball Hero, Hard Roll Hero, Fish Cake.
85 cents.
Yeah, the beer.
And that was like the shrimp. That was the expensive one.
The beer was 50 cents, and the ale and premium beer was 55 cents. But, Kelly, here was my favorite. I loved the Knishes.
Oh, a
The
Knish.
25-cent
25
Knish.
cent. What do you think of that, Steve? 25-cent Knish.
And he's not even Jewish. Yeah, they're very good.
But-
they would have been fun to have gone.
They still sell them at
Yeah.
but you have to find the concession stand, and that's too much work for me. But
Yeah, they're amazing.
back then, when I didn't care about what I was eating, I loved the Knishes, with the mustard, Goulden's mustard on the Knishes, to die for it.
Is that what you do? You put a mustard on the Knish? Is that the proper topping?
Yeah, of course. I put mustard on lots of things. And I have ghost mustard. And
Is that for
garlic-
when Kodai Senga pitches?
What's that?
Is that when Kodai Senga pitches for the ghost fork? You have some ghost mustard?
Right, like that.
Kelly can write some of the monologue
Yes,
stuff.
you can write my next one, please.
So mustard stains.
All over the place.
Yeah.
On me, on furniture.
It's a big problem.
on
Do
the
you do your own
monologues.
laundry?
Yeah, I'm Mr. Mom at home.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I do. I make beds. I do the laundry. I do some cooking.
He's real popular in the laundry room at his townhouse.
That sounds like it could be another podcast.
That's me going down a, yeah. There are some stories.
But no. But watching, and I like for the podcast, for even when I was doing the radio Monday through Friday, watching both games on TV I liked. Avoided some crowd, some traffic, and going to see the Mets kept me from being able to talk about the Yankees and relishing in a loss. But I wasn't with a hammer with it. In other words, I let them get on me if they wanted to, being a Met fan, rooting for them. But I would always say my dad was a Yankee fan. But my father, before he passed away, and I knew his favorite Yankee was Joe DiMaggio, of course.
My mom's too.
Okay. But my dad, before he passed away, used to kid me and say that his favorite Yankee of all time was Randy Velarde. He had a little bit of a sense of humor.
I wonder where yours came from.
Yeah, him actually.
Your uncle.
Uncle Tevis.
Uncle Tevis, yeah.
The dentist. Tevis did have a sense of humor. My father came from Hungary, and came really a little before the Titanic went down, and came with his family from Hungary, and and they had to have a sponsor in those days to come to America. They had a cousin, some relative, a real, Meshuggah, a real crazy person who went to Sacramento looking for gold.
Oh.
And the 49ers, of course, named after when gold was discovered. But this was, coming from Hungary, you settle in the Lower East Side, you get a food cart, and you do what other immigrants are doing. He went all the way to California to look for gold. Do you think he found any? Like zilch. And so my father and his father, and they moved to California, and that's how I got around to being born out there. And the gold rush, when it was discovered, built San Francisco. People who did find gold built that city. But this cousin from Hungary, what? And he's going out looking for gold.
Yeah, today we all think of you as a New Yorker, which is you say that's the highest compliment that you received, right?
That's right.
But people think he's, because
Robert Klein and Seinfeld thought I was from New York, And I think it had to do with a little bit of sarcasm, a little bit of humor, not a lot, but a little bit of a sense of humor. I once asked Seinfeld, who I met in a bodega looking for cereal at 1:30 in the morning after watching Saturday Night Live in July. It was very hot. I wanted to go down my block to a bodega to get a pint of ice cream. 2 people were in that bodega, along with the cashier, Seinfeld and George Wallace, not the Alabama governor.
Okay.
No, the comedian. And I never was one really to go for autographs and stuff, but I was a fan of his and recognized him.
Seinfeld or Wallace?
Yes.
Okay.
And I took out a card that had my name and WFAN on it. I didn't know, and I debated whether I should approach him, but I did. He didn't make eye contact. He was looking at cereal, him and his friend. They had gone to a comedy club around the block from me, where I live, and Catch a Rising Star. They had gone to see other comedians. Now it was like 1:30 in the morning. I had watched Saturday Night Live. I go down for the ice cream. They're in there after leaving the comedy club. And so I walked up to him. I gave him a card. I said, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm a big fan. I just wanted to say hello. And he never made eye contact, looked at the card and went, "You're Steve Summers?" He had been a listener.
That's amazing. Were you flattered?
You can't make it up. Oh, yeah, boing. Yeah. Oh, no, I did that yesterday with Jen Shremsky, too.
As you can tell, this was not a scripted show.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, it's, not really, not like Howard Stern, but nonetheless. Oh, no, I couldn't believe that he knew of me and was listening in the early days of WFAN. I'm so sorry. I hope I didn't ruin things for you. There she has a family value show, and I'm being a little risque. But that's how excited I was. He knew who I was.
Cut your losses. Just
Yeah, okay, right. Okay, enough. And but anyway, and then the next Monday he called in. And over the years, I wasn't a part of his inner circle. When he had that bad movie come out called B, he didn't invite me to the premiere. But we had a good over 25, 30 years of emails. And he co-hosted a couple of times.
And he called
in a couple of times.
Yeah, remember that. I mean, that was a big deal. I mean, he's still a big star, but he was a huge star some 25 years ago.
Had his money.
Right, yeah.
But, yes, and for my book, he wrote the foreword, and also a number of emails that I did with him are in the book also. Good. So we hope that helps sell the book. I don't think I'm by myself. Steve Summers, oh, me here, you there. Who, what, when, where, and why. So, but Seinfeld did help out with the book a little bit. And, again, you want to be good, but you have to be lucky. And I think, and a lot of people are going to say luck is by design. And the first night, I can't remember what I had for dinner last night, but I do remember the first show I ever did in '87. I said, if I get fired, and I had been fired before, TV and radio, change of format, new management coming in, whatever, and not good work as a young man starting off. But first night on WFAN, I said, if I get fired from this job, it won't be for lack of effort.
And here we are.
With you.
Yeah,
flattered.
The thing is, you are still going with the podcast now, even though you're not on the air all the time.
No.
You're still...
They've had me come back a couple of shows, but not over the last month or two, no. But, and that's okay too, because I understand different generation. I'm in my 70s, I'm an old fart, if you can say old on the air. So Thank you for being. I'm being silly. Well, what else is new? But it's a different generation. And when I started, in my teens, really, I would have paid them. And when you're young and you're fresh, you want your number to be called. You want the opportunity. And there are young people that have replaced me, and that's the way it should be. That's how I started. I was in my teens. I would have paid them. I didn't care about money. I cared about starting a career and getting myself eventually to where I wanted to be, which was here. So bottom line is I understand that dynamic where young people should, if they care and they're committed and they don't take shortcuts like a lot of young people would do, even when I was young, bottom line is that their number will be called if they do their due diligence. And you think it won't come into play when your number is called. When you get a chance to be on the air and to do the broadcasting and to have your own podcast or your own show, if you pay your dues and care about really making a career for yourself, not just a job, but a career, then your number will be called.
And be yourself like you were. You know, that's the one thing I'd say about today when I listen to sports talk radio. You had Chris Russo as a guest. And,
brilliant guy.
And
He is,
brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, now it was a different time, and radio was a more impactful medium then. But those two guys, and you're in this category as well, those two guys, Mike and Chris, it was almost like a shotgun marriage, but look at how it worked out organically. And what they had, that chemistry, everything that those two did, they did it just because it worked. The personalities were perfectly suited to each other. They were different, so different, but it meshed, it worked. They played off each other, and everything they did was again, repeating that same word, organic, and it grew, and it grew, and
Magic.
it grew. In the same way that I heard Steve that night on WNBC doing his audition, he cut through. Now, he was doing kind of some shtick, but it was funny. You know, I mentioned it was self-dep, but it was funny. It was unique. He wasn't imitating it. This was him. Mike and Chris, Mike was being Mike, and Chris was being Chris, and they did this at first.
Great
I mean, the show almost went off the rails immediately, but they finally had that moment where they had it out. You know, they cleared the air. We're either going to make this work or not. And there were a few instances early on with Mike and Chris that kind of broke the ice. The one thing in particular, Chris would probably talk about it if we were to look back. They were trying to find a date for him. He was single at the time. And Mike bought into it. And then Mike's sense of humor started coming out. And then all of a sudden they realized this is working. And, you know, even though you are who you are, Mike, and Chris is who he is, collectively it worked and it grew. Now you have hot takes and shouting, just sometimes I think reactions for the sake of reacting. And that doesn't work. Just let I'll give you a name. You were just with him recently, John Jastrzemski. He's unique.
Yeah.
You know, that's a unique voice.
They're gifted.
Yeah, I think he's great.
Yeah,
He's always on Baseball Night in New York. Yeah.
So, but if you're a young broadcaster or an aspiring talk show host or an aspiring podcaster or YouTuber, don't try and be John. Don't try and be Steve Summers. Don't try and be Mike and Chris. Don't try and have hot takes just for gratuitous reasons. Be yourself. Sounds easy. It's hard to be yourself.
You're right.
But that's why you succeeded. I mean, look at what he has contributed to. The ESPN SportsCenter anchors use the other side of the glass as part of the Me Here.
And they used to call in.
Like
Berman used to call in.
And they imitate you.
Lee, who
Right.
passed away, I think, drowning.
No.
Who was it that...
Yeah, I know. He's a Connecticut guy. Yeah. No. You're talking about Bob Lee, who's great. But these guys used to, you know, hear him and do his thing. And that's unique. What you did was unique. And so I'm just saying,
You left a mark, Schmooze.
Yeah,
Well,
you did.
as I say, to be as honest as I can be, it was good when I was good, and it felt great. And then there were nights I went home with a headache. The energy wasn't there. I didn't read my monologue right. It didn't come out the way I wanted it to. And I was lucky where I could say to myself, I think I have tomorrow to get better.
Right.
It sounds cliche-ish, I know, and maybe too simple, but that's me. And I always thought, especially when I didn't think I did a good program, and that wasn't infrequently, I always thought that I could get better if I'm given the chance the next day.
You
I'm
were
serious.
a perfectionist. You were a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the one thing people don't know about Steve.
Yeah, I'm just realizing it right now.
He would get ticked off.
Yeah, well-
I'd see the one thing about Steve is that when he would do those bits, if you were producing for him, if you're on that board, when he calls for the cues, you better be on it. And I'm
could
talking
be a
out of
little
school
rough
here, but he'd be the
sometimes.
first to, yeah. So, but Kelley brought that up. That's the
Yeah.
one thing people.
Well, they knew it
you would
wasn't
get-
personal, that it was more
did, yeah.
professional. If they missed a
Absolutely.
cue
Yeah.
for production.
Didn't
That's-
go over well with
Yeah,
you.
that was
No, I got upset, and I would yell and scream, not at the audience. That wasn't my style on the air, but if they weren't paying attention.
Or sometimes it would misfire, and it was
well,
nobody's fault.
Yeah, if there was a technical problem, nothing you can do.
Right, but
then you
sometimes-
can add lib out of it. But if Peter Bellotti, I used to have all
former
kinds of
producer,
issues.
yeah.
He was, and he's still there.
Oh, yeah.
And he invited me to his wedding twice, so he knew it wasn't personal. His father even complimented me, and I was tough with him as I was more than probably any other producer.
But the point is, well, Kelley, you are, and still are. You want to
Well,
get it right
sure.
every single time, and a little hard on yourself as a result.
well,
but the fact is,
not really.
the end product was always good because, like Johnny Carson's best monologues, I thought were the ones when he was bombing, and then he'd make fun of himself while he was in the midst of bombing, but you'd laugh because he'd come up with a good line.
Well, when you're young and people are making fun of you, they're probably making fun of you for a good reason. In high school, I wasn't a very good baseball player. I sat at the end of the bench, hardly ever played, and used to broadcast into the knob of the bat as the game was going on. And I was on the basketball team, too short to be effective. And it's in the book, the pictures with me with the basketball team and me with the baseball team.
Another shameless plug.
You know,
And so prior to the show, you gave us a description of your physique when you were young. Are those pictures in the book?
there is a bar mitzvah picture where you see a stomach, and then the caption is my name.
I don't know how we topped that, folks. I have to say, this has been a wild and unexpected show.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you being here today, both of you. Bob, thank you so much for arranging
Can't
to
thank
get
you enough.
Schmooze here, and
Honored.
thanks so much for
Thanks,
coming.
and thanks. What do the kids say? Thanks for having me. Everybody says that.
One challenge left is to get him back home. This time
well,
you get on the Hutchinson, not on the Springbrook Parkway.
Okay.
If you're on the Sprainbrook, watch out, folks. We have really enjoyed these two guys here today, Bob and Steve. I'd like to thank my producers, Melissa Rizzo and Duffy Franco, and we'll see you again soon on the 3 Inning Fan Show. Bye-bye.